My name is Nevaeh. I'm sitting in my renovated porch, the sun setting through the old maple trees, as a sense of peace washes over me. It's hard to believe how far I've come from the pain and betrayal I once endured. A few weeks ago, I received a call from my daughter-in-law, Maya. Her voice was shaking as she said, "Nevaeh, we got a foreclosure notice. We can't keep up with payments, and if there's anything you can do, please." For a long moment, I was silent, not out of cruelty but because I needed clarity. I told them to come to Mr. Thompson's office the next day. The next morning, they arrived looking worn and humbled. My son, Ethan, had his shoulders sagged, and Maya clutched her handbag like a lifeline. I sat across from them, calm and clear-headed. "I have the means to buy the house," I said, "and I'm willing to clear the foreclosure." Hope flickered in Maya's eyes, but I held up my hand. "But I will only do it if you move out within 30 days and acknowledge what you did fully." Ethan's breath broke, and tears slipped down his face. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know how I became this person." It was a long-awaited apology, but I knew some wounds wouldn't heal with a single apology. I told them it wasn't about punishing them, it was about reclaiming my life. They agreed, and within weeks, the house became mine. As I look back, it all started on Ethan's 48th birthday. The living room was filled with the laughter of his friends and Maya's co-workers. I'd spent the whole afternoon making a delicious cherry pie and a roast beef, and the whole place smelled wonderful. I stood near the doorway, holding a small gift bag. Inside was a framed photo of Ethan when he was 10, with a big smile on his face, covered in birthday cake. I'd wrapped it carefully, hoping it would remind him of the love we once shared. When Ethan finished telling a story about his latest business success, I stepped towards him. I just wanted to place my hand on his arm and say, "Happy birthday." But he jerked away as if my touch was a curse. "Don't touch me. Can't you see I'm busy? Go back to the kitchen, Mom." The room fell into an uncomfortable hush. Maya forced a smile, and some guests pretended to be interested in the floor. I felt the humiliation burn in my face. Then, my granddaughter, Lily, slipped her hand into mine and whispered, "Grandma, you don't deserve that." At that moment, something inside me changed. I knew I couldn't let him treat me like this anymore. After the guests left, Maya asked me to clean up the kitchen, as if I didn't have my own life. I stepped into the kitchen, where the sink was overflowing with dirty dishes. I looked at my reflection in the dark window above the sink. Tired eyes, gray hair pulled into a loose bun, and the old shawl Lily had given me. I realized I'd been fading into the background of my own life. I decided I couldn't stay. I packed my important papers, wrote a letter, and left early the next morning. I checked into a motel, and then I found a small ground-floor apartment. It was simple, but it was mine. One afternoon, Lily showed up at my door, her hair still damp from her dance practice. She told me Ethan had been acting strange since I left, and Maya was mad, saying I'd abandoned them. I laughed softly and said, "Sweetheart, I was invisible long before I walked out that door." Then, Lily pulled out a stack of papers from her backpack. It was a loan statement for $30,000 issued in my name, with monthly deductions of $700. I'd always thought my pension was shrinking because of rising costs, but I'd never signed this loan. Lily also showed me some screenshots from Maya's laptop. They were planning to have me declared incompetent so they could sell the house and pay off their debts. I was devastated. I'd trusted them, but they'd betrayed me. Lily held my wrist and said she was sorry. I knew I had to fight back. Just then, my neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, knocked on my door with a plate of cookies and mentioned a local community center that offered free legal consultations for seniors. I went to the center and met Mr. Thompson. I told him I thought my son and daughter-in-law had been taking my money and were planning to have me declared incompetent. He wasn't shocked. He examined the loan forms and said the signature wasn't mine. It was fraud. We requested the bank's fraud department to review the case. When we went to the bank, the fraud investigator, Miss Lewis, showed us that the loan was authorized from my home IP address, and the signer used Ethan's credentials. It was confirmed, the signature was forged. A few days later, Mr. Thompson asked me to meet him at his office. Ethan and Maya were already there. Mr. Thompson laid out the evidence of unauthorized withdrawals, identity misuse, a fraudulent loan, and the plan for a false dementia diagnosis. He offered them a chance to resolve it privately. Maya tried to say it was a misunderstanding, but I knew the truth. Ethan finally looked at me and whispered, "Mom, I never meant for it to go that far." I told him it had gone too far, and I wanted accountability and space. Now, as I sit here on my porch, I know I've finally found my freedom. I've opened my house to women who need a place to stay. I still think about Ethan, and we talk slowly and cautiously now. I once thought freedom came from being needed, but now I know it comes from finally seeing my own worth. I am, at long last, free.